and welcome back for another installment of Off the Beaten Path. Today we're headed down to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to visit one of the area's busiest drummers, Nick Lang. Nick and I became friends many years ago, and as we both carved our paths in our respective scenes, we've always made a point to stay in touch and use each other as a resource for new ideas and support in what can be a very challenging career as a freelance musician. Both Nick and I bought our first homes right around the same time, so we've shared many conversations over the years about building out a space for music making, and upon my first visit to Nick's house many years ago, I was always impressed at the efficiency and effectiveness of a duplex as not only a space to play music, but record, teach, and bring clients to. I'm excited to share his space in this episode today, and I hope it can help some viewers out there considering a similar space for their own needs. Before we jump in, I want to let you know that I'm creating new episodes in this series each month, so please make sure to not only like this video, but subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on future video releases. So without any further delay, let's check out the Duplex drum studio of Milwaukee's own Nick Lang.
Oh, hey.
Hey Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing just dandy. How you doing?
Doing great. Good to be with you here in Milwaukee today.
Absolutely, welcome.
Yeah, so we've been friends for a number of years, and I was thinking about it on my drive down here. I'm pretty sure we met at a PASIC convention.
We did.
Many years ago when we were both in school. 2011,
I believe.
And ever since then, we've stayed in touch and get to see each other and run into each other once in a while when we're in each other's areas.
Yep.
So for the people at home who aren't familiar with you, why don't you give them a little rundown of what you do that makes up your career as a musician?
Here in Milwaukee, my house, I do a lot of freelance work with some original bands here in Milwaukee, namely Long Mama, Derek Pritzel and the Gamble, and also with Adam Gruhl and the Space Burritos, but that's more out-of-town gigs. But then also here at my house, I do some lessons, some teaching, and slowly working my way into some remote recording.
Cool, and I remember the first time I came to visit you here, I had never really seen someone who had a duplex and kept both parts for themselves. Usually the idea is you would live in one unit and have the other one be a rental property. Yeah. But you've taken that whole upper half of your duplex and turned it into your music space, studio, lesson room.
Yeah, that was the goal. I mean, like that was always kind of the plan. And then when I crunched numbers, and this house was super affordable, so that was going to be a lot easier to do rather than rent it out. So, all right, and just so you get the full experience, I'll show you the separate entrance, so no one has to see how I live. When students come here, they ring this doorbell, and then I let them in the house. First thing we have here is a waiting room. Whenever I have students, they bring their parents, and the parents are always welcome to sit in on lessons. I usually tell better jokes when that happens, but sometimes some parents like to sit out here and read or do business. When I'm not in work mode, I let my cat wander around up here, Pizza. So this is like a simulation of what that would look like, because usually she's laying right there. Here's like some miscellaneous drum storage and some empty cases and stuff, and some formal clothing so it doesn't get all the cat hair on it. Working bathroom.
Well, and this is a huge asset for people who teach out of their homes. Having the ability to offer a bathroom to people or a waiting room without having them impede on your personal living space is
absolutely
a huge deal.
Yeah, it's just convenient to have up here. So this is my more live room. Typically there's two drum sets facing each other, and that's where I teach. But if a drum set's set up this way, facing out, either I'm rehearsing with one of my bands up here, or I'm using the larger room for some more live drum sounds. This is my main Workhorse kit, albeit like the larger components of it. This is a Gretsch Brooklyn kit that I got at Casio Music back in the day, but it's this gray oyster finish, and this is a 24 by 14 kick, 12 by 8 rack tom, 16 by 14 floor tom. And with this kit, normally I bring out the 20-inch kick. I got a 20 by 14 kick and a 14 by 14 floor tom. So, and they have such a great tuning range that, be it for like you know, jazz if I have to tune them up a little bit, or for like if I'm playing with the symphony and I need them a little higher for like a big band set, sure, but they tune really in the basement well too. Typically I would close these soundproofing curtains so to kind of deaden things up in here, and it looks a little more ambient.
Well, and for filming content and making videos, being able to control the lighting is key. So
Oh yeah, it's pretty nice. On the education side, I also have this marimba here. Not a lot of marimba students, but doesn't stop me from trying to learn some things. I'm trying to learn the Zakk Wylde guitar solo. Spoiler alert, it's not going well, but it's fun.
You know, I'm in the same position where I'm teaching students who are typically involved in middle school and high school band. Working on those dinky bell kits is such a pain, and these instruments are so tactile with the feel and spacing of a marimba or vibraphone, that having something like this is really awesome for the kids who want to be able to more accurately emulate what they're working on in school.
I mean, the limitations of this being like a 3-octave marimba is like you can't do a bulk of like the literature, you know, so like if you're working on like a college piece or an audition or something, most of that requires a little more low end, and this just fits perfectly here. Like I said, we do like xylophone rep for solo ensemble, but when these kids, if anyone wants to learn No More Tears by Ozzy Osbourne, we're ready. I'll be ready, hopefully. Anyway, here's a picture of me in lessons with my first teacher, Mr. John Ruka. This is my more dead room back here. I have like a pretty dead made in Japan kit that I love. It's a beater, but I'm like in love with this drum set so much. I purchased this at Hawthorne Drum Shop in Pittsburgh. I wanted this to be just like a dead kit. Now granted, I have bottom heads on these toms now, so they're not entirely dead. But this kick drum is like my favorite kick drum to record with, because even without a front head, I mean, this thing just has like just some real beef to it. This is one of my favorite kick drums I've ever played.
Honestly, whenever I have a friend who's not necessarily a drummer reach out about getting kind of a kit for their studio or space, the MIJ drums, even though they're becoming a little more trendy now.
Yeah, thanks Aaron Sterling.
It's the best deal you can get for kind of the vintage tone and characteristics.
Oh yeah.
Something fun to play on still.
Well, and what I loved about these is I originally took the bottom heads off and made this like dead concert tom thing. Not quite Phil Collins. I was just going for more of like the indie dead, you know, snare vibe too. But then I took this whole kit apart and I took every lug off and put cotton in there, and then I put bottom heads on here. And it's tuned a little strange right now because I was going for something weird, so I won't besmirch you with that. But like this kit sounds like it could do a rock gig, it can do the indie sort of like alt rock thing, or it could do like a lo-fi, maybe like a hip hop thing too with this kick especially. Have my snare drum storage and just some other things. I don't know where to store them, so like some miscellaneous hardware, some snare drums, and there's some percussion strewn about. This is it's an 8x14 80s Gretsch stop sign badge. It's a pretty wonderful drum, nice and blatty. It's got the internal muffler, and I always have that on there, just a kiss of that, because if I put too much in the head, it just makes it sound choked and thin. Some Yogi Horton vibes or something.
Tony Williams vibes.
It is Tony Williams yellow.
Visually.
Visually.
Yeah.
I know Hawthorne.
Sonically, probably not.
Probably not, and the content of what I'll be playing is not Tony Williams. But you know, we can dream. I'm also a huge John Mayer fan. If I want something really, if I don't want like the really metallic snare sound, but I want something that has like some high crack to it, I found this Yamaha Steve Jordan snare many moons ago, and it's tuned pretty high right now. I think I gotta maybe put some new snare wires or bottom head vibes on it. This one's beautiful. I love it. It's still got like that woody sound, kind of like I don't know if he used this on like the Schofield record. That's what I say, but man, like the groove on Sticks and Stones is dope. But yeah, I was going through a Steve Jordan phase, also an Ash Stone phase, so I wanted something woody like this.
Yeah, those are very similar sounds.
Oh yeah. That's why I realized, I'm like, you know what, you got this, you're fine. I picked up this one. It's a Ludwig 6-lugger, and the reason I got this one is because the date and the inside, which I won't tell you, it was the same day of my mother's birth, like the same exact day, same exact year.
Oh wow!
And I thought that, and it's like, and I love 6-lug snare drums too, and I got that, and after I got it and like gussied up that, I told her about it. I thought it would be a moment between us, and she's just kind of like, all right, cool, I guess. I'm like, okay, Mom. Anyway, you're welcome, Mom. This is a Gretsch Brooklyn Standard, engineered by Mike Johnston. It's a wonderful drum. I think it needs to be tuned right now where it's at, but throw one of these snare weights on here and it sounds kind of nice mid-range drum. I've tuned this one way higher and but also way lower, and I don't know, it's very sensitive. It's just such a great drum. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah. Well, I think we all strive or have a drum that we can do anything with or play in any room or adjust to any tuning.
Oh yeah, and let me go grab the other one that does that as well. Back in the day, when A&F just started, they had this first run of 100 drums, and one night I was watching a friend play on like an old 20s leady drum that was about the same size, and it was brass. And I emailed these guys. I'm like, if you still have one of those, I'd love to throw down on it. And a couple weeks later, had it, and it's a 4x14. And everyone's like, is that a piccolo? I'm like, I don't think so, because it tunes so low, so nicely. But I use this one a lot with any of the country bands I'm playing with. Typically, I'll bring this one to like the Pops gigs. I've also cranked this thing like a piccolo for straight ahead jazz gigs. And it's, I mean, if I had to pick one snare, this would be the one. This would absolutely be the one snare I keep. It does everything. During the pandemic, when all the gigs shut down, like I really made the commitment to turn this into a possible working recording space. So I hung all these up. These are from GearFab Solutions. I believe that's what the company's called. GearFab, I know, is in there. Universal Audio, Apollo interfaces.
And you can pair both of those together.
All you need is just one of these little guys, Thunderbolt cable.
Okay.
And you can route as many of them together as you want. We've done 2 8-channel ones before for a record I did up here a couple of years ago. But when I'm like filming on my own, 12 mics is about what I can manage. So I have 12 between these 2 interfaces, and you just daisy chain them this way.
Let's talk a little bit about microphones now.
Well, this microphone, one of my favorites, I have a pair of these Coles 4038s. They're a lot heavier than I thought they would be, but they're awesome. They're ribbon microphones, but I always route them through here, so I don't have to blast the gain on these and destroy the ribbon. So running through a cloud lifter adds about 20 dB to it, and it really helps these guys speak. But if I'm recording with these as my overhead, sometimes I don't need tom mics because they're just magic. They pick up all this beautiful low end, especially from like my vintage kits. Learn to be better about putting them back every time after I use them.
And microphones are an investment, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I think we all started out with $100 condensers from Guitar Center or something, but I have not worked my way up to the Coles 4038s yet, because I know that's an investment, but
yeah,
it'll last you a lifetime.
I normally have this put away, but I was just filming some stuff in here earlier. AKG D12 VR, it's really great, and you can't go wrong with an SM57 on top or underneath your snare. This weird thing by Dr. Alien Smith, this Alien 8 figure 8 dynamic microphone. It's cool. I like it in my kick drum, but sometimes I put it like in the worst position, like right there, and it's kind of cool. I have this Solomon low frequency mic, so pretty cool. You can see Daru Jones in there. And in here, I have some mics in there, including one of these guys. Another good snare mic. My buddy Nick Moss from the band Cabin Essence told me about that. Sometimes if I'm posting content, I want to throw like a little loop behind it or something, and I have this M Audio MIDI keyboard over here.
I feel like as drummers, we're used to hosting band practices and things.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
For me personally, it's like over the years, in addition to collecting drums, I always try to have a variety of things at my place that, do I have a good guitar amp that people can use, or do I have a bass amp or a keyboard?
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, that's just like a MIDI controller, but I do have an actual like 63 keyboard, 73 keys Nord that I got off a buddy of mine. This Fender Blues Junior that we'll bring out for rehearsals, but it stores nicely behind the Marimba. My buddy Andrew Koenig, a guitarist I play in 4 bands together with. I think, 4 bands. And he left this bass amp here. And that's just really convenient. We can have full band rehearsals here. I can record for myself. I can film drum videos for my students. I can teach lessons. And I mean, it's kind of like everything I want to do as a professional musician, I can realize a bulk of that within this space right now, and that's been the dream, you know.
Yeah, and all without having to leave your home.
Yeah, I just put on shoes and come upstairs. It's great.
All right, well, thanks so much for making the time and letting us kind of walk through this space and learn what you've created and why it's set up the way it is. If people want to follow you or reach out to you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
The best way right now is just through Instagram. It's just Nick Lang Music. You'll see a picture of me playing drums in this room. But you can also just email me, nicklangmusicllc@gmail.com.
Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, Mike.